If you are into any kind of brand building job, you should know about what brand activism is. And I'm going to share findings from a research paper that will actually help you to do the right thing to win at brand activism. Hi, Amrit here, co-founder of Core Voice, and in this episode of Core Insights, I want to share findings from a paper published last year that I found in a journal called Marketing Letters on how advice from our customers, can be leveraged for winning at brand activism. Now, of course, activism is a pretty loaded word, and the phrase that we actually use in Core Voice to talk about more or less the same thing is brand civics. Things that a brand stands for and is pretty vocal, public about. By the way, irrespective of what you learn from this study that I'm going to share, do keep in mind that the ideal thing to do for any brand or company is obviously take only those stands that are truly and deeply entrenched into the company's core culture and values. Else the facade will fall sooner or later. Okay, so back to the study. The researchers, what they do is they reach out to over 300 participants and then split them into two groups. One is control and the other group is advice giving group. You will get to know what this means in just a while. Now all of them, both the control group and the advice giving group, they all read descriptions of 3 environmental movements that have been undertaken by a fashion brand. That's the scenario that they are all presented. The researchers then asked the participants in the advice giving group to advise. So what advice? Advise the brand on which movement of these 3 to support. To the control group, the researchers merely inform them that the brand is already supporting so and so movement, and they don't ask them for any advice or anything. Now, all the participants are asked to rank their likelihood to support the movement by asking them if they are willing to sign up for some newsletter around the movement and things like that. So what do the researchers find? As you probably might be expecting, the participants in the advice giving group, they happened to be more likely to support the movement that they suggested. So this was for a fashion brand, and the researchers even go ahead and repeat the study for a beer brand, and pretty much the same conclusion is arrived at. So yes, advice giving does make customers closer to the brand and the movement that they suggest, but do you think it also makes customers actually be altruistic? Like, would they do things beyond just signing up for newsletters? To test this, our researchers go ahead and conduct another study, and with a similar sized group of participants. And like the first study, the participants get to learn about some movements and then either advise the brand on which movement to support or are just informed about the brand's decision. But this time, the participants are also asked to say or indicate if they will engage in activities and advocacy behaviors, and let's say they would participate in events and things like that, moving beyond just receiving a newsletter, right? The researchers learned that the participants who give advice are also more likely to do those things that they advise on. And this can be explained by a psychological concept called normative influence. When we give advice to others, we end up feeling more obligated to then match our beliefs, and that makes us behave in a certain manner. Now, what do you think happens if the brand takes advice and then goes against the advice or doesn't do much about the advice? I'm sure you can probably guess, but just hold on to your thoughts and hear me out, hear the whole research out. So the researchers this time reach out to an even bigger group, around 500 plus participants, and this time they further split the advice givers into 2 subgroups. One is told that the company followed their advice, and the other group is told that the company did not follow on the advice that they got from the customers. Sure enough, when the participants learn that the company followed their advice, they feel even more connected to the cause and to the brand overall because of that. But here is the interesting finding. Not following the advice does not have any significant effect. Your customers do not dislike you, even if you don't follow their advice. Isn't that crazy? As a brand, what matters is that you definitely go and take advice from your customers. Try to follow it. If you can do it, that's great. But even if you think you can't do much about it, it's still useful. Fascinating, right? Alright, hope this insight was useful and that you learned something new. And if you have advice for me on some research topic to sort of read and present to you, do let me know. See you soon with some more insights.